week just prior to Shabbos before Rosh Hashanah, Parshat Savo, leading into Nitzavim, and Nitzavim is the parsha that will take us right in, usher in the new year. Mit Hashem, a week from today. A week from today. Right? It's hard to believe. We're 1 week from Rosh Hashanah. And what happened to the world 1 week before Rosh Hashanah? Who knows what the Hebrew date is today? Correct. What's today's Hebrew date? Hebrew date. It's Chaf Beis. Okay. Today's Chaf Beis. Okay. So starting with this week, Chaf Hey, the world was actually the first day. It was the first day. So this is the week of Rosh Hashanah, if you want to think about it. The week of Bereshis, Bara Elokim. New beginnings. So in honor of new beginnings, I want to end something that we started last week. All right. We didn't include this, but I'm including it because it's important. If you recall, and you might even want to consider attaching this to the previous Shiur, but it's also a springboard for where we're going today. We spoke about 3 different wars that are fought in this period of year in particular. The milchama that we fight against the Yetzer Hara, the Satan, whose voice we hope to shut down. For Rosh Hashanah, that's the purpose of the shofar. Shut him down. Kedei la'arvei ves Satan, to turn the Satan off. Maybe to drown out the sound. You could even think of it in those terms. Really, the prosecuting attorney is giving his case. He's got a solid case, unfortunately, against everyone, because he's very, very good. He's the best prosecuting attorney, better than Rudy Giuliani, better than Mueller, the best. Hashem gave him that job. And when we're getting down to giving his summation speech for the jury, because it's the Erev Rosh Hashanah of the Bezdin Shamala, we just start crying. Nobody can hear him. All the judge can hear is the crying of drowning out the voice of the Satan. A cry from the depths of our soul saying, I know. All the things that he's presenting against me, they're all true. But we invoke the Yud Gimel Midos Rachamim, and we want to transform the din into Rachamim. So I saw a beautiful story along those lines. There was a man who came to one of the great Chassidic Rebbes, and he said to him, I think it was Yechiel Michal of Zlotchov, I'm not sure, but he said to him, I've got a huge problem. I have a shoe factory, and I have the exclusive contract to supply the Tsar with boots. That's a big contract. He was a wealthy man. Nobody liked that he had this exclusive contract, and they tried to find ways to knock him out of business. So they started a whole thing that his shoes were not to speculation, and they actually could cause injury, and so on and so forth. And he was under investigation, and he knew it was coming, and he didn't know what to do. There was going to be a trial. It was going to be and he's petrified. Not only lose everything, but who knows what will happen to him personally. So treason, they would call him a traitor because he's going to handicap the army, right? The army needs its equipment, and he didn't supply the army. Well, that's an enemy of the state. So he runs to the Rebbe, and the Rebbe says to him, what are you doing here? Buy yourself a first-class ticket and get right back to town immediately. Like he didn't even manage to get online to see the Rebbe. The Rebbe sent a message, get out of here, buy yourself a first-class ticket. And this guy was already broken, Sabrochen, Sahargit. He didn't have money because they had shut down the factory, and he had tremendous debts, etc. buys a first-class ticket because the Rebbe said so. Sits down on the train and sits next to a rather elegant gentleman. And they're riding on the train back home. And the gentleman looks at him and says, "You don't look like your typical first-class traveler. Why are you here?" So he poured out the whole story to him. You know, the Rebbe sent him back because he's in this terrible crisis, and it's been all this terrible, Lashon Hara spoken about him. And that's it. He tells him the story. What's that? Yeah, they said exactly. It's Motzi Shemra. It's worse than Lashon Hara. And he's basically facing the trial of his life. Not only his livelihood, but his very life is on the line. So, okay, they part ways, wishes him well, comes into the court, looks up, and he recognizes that the judge is that fellow that sat next to him on the train. And as the prosecution came and gave all of their proofs, he was so convinced that they were lying that he was easily able to find the flaws in their arguments and machavek all their arguments, and he was acquitted. Okay? That's Rosh Hashanah. HaKadosh Baruch Hu, the judge, sits down with us outside the court. Let's talk. Tell me. Say, this is what happened. The Yetzer Hara got me to do this. The Yetzer Hara got me to do that. Nebuch. He hears our story. He believes us that we really are good and that our failures were not really because of our corruption, but because of circumstance and whatever else, and therefore he'll be welcome to shut out the prosecution. So we want to shut down the prosecution. That's our thing. So this war, threefold front. We said Kitetse, according to the Abir Yaacov, stood for, if you recall, three wars: Tefillin, Tzitzis, and Os. These are things that represent the physical holiness of the Jewish people, including Shabbos, Bris Milah, wearing tefillin, wearing tzitzis, things we wrap around our body that distinguishes us from the rest of the human world, right? From the Shivim Umos HaOlam. That's one battle. That's the battle of Amalek, who would like to say that the Jewish people are not special, are not unique, do not have a special relationship with Hashem, and are not a holy chosen nation. That anybody who says that is Amalek. Anybody who fights for that is Amalek. To destroy the Jewish people at its root of holiness. Second war was Tefillah, Tzedakah, or, in this case it stands for Torah. That's the war we said for the land of Israel, which is conducted through davening, through acts of tzedakah, and of course through limud Torah, specifically in the sense of performing the mitzvos that we will have to do on the ground. Most of our mitzvos are designed to be performed in Eretz Yisrael and specifically in Yerushalayim in the Beis HaMikdash. Most of our mitzvos, including from this week's Parshat, mitzvah Bikurim, right? You're supposed to bring it El HaMakom Hahu Asher Yivchar Hashem. Hashem didn't even tell us it was going to be Yerushalayim. It ended up being Yerushalayim, but we always have to stay focused on the mitzvos and the central place for the adherence of mitzvos, the seat of Torah, which is the Beis HaMikdash, Makom Asher, the Shechina. So in order to have Shechina, which means that the Jewish people are going to live not in Golus, but in Eretz Yisrael, Hashras HaShechina, our major battle is our davening, our tzedakah, and our Torah. And that's also part of our war for the High Holy Days. Our High Holy Day war is, first of all, to be physically holy. To be physically holy. You know what I'm saying? And these things have to do with the signs. Shmir Shabbos, upgrade it. Our physical holiness, to upgrade it. That's Bris Milah. Our thoughts, our actions. But in davening for the Shechina, it's a special prayer that we're creating a halachic community. You might say that the first milchama is an individual war. Individual war. A Jew has to wear tefillin, whether there's a minyan or not, he puts on tefillin. Whether there's a minyan or not, you put on tzitzis. Whether there's a minyan or not, you make a bris. Whether there's a minyan or not, you keep Shabbos. Each and every one of those are individual mitzvos. But tefillah requires a tzibur. And tzedakah requires another person. And Torah is basically about teaching more than learning in isolation. Vishinantam le banecha. No banim, no Torah. No yeshivas. You have to educate children. If you sat in yeshiva for 60 years, right? Okay, so you sat in yeshiva, but that's not how Torah is designed. The Torah is designed to be given over. Ben Chamish L'Mikra, Ben Eser L'Mishnah, Ben Chamesh Esrei L'Talmud. And then we go on to life, but small children. And the last thing is the war for the tikkun of the rest of the world. The hashrat, hashchina, not only on us, but on the rest of the world. And that requires the Beis HaMikdash. And that requires Mashiach. And that requires a geula, and an end of Golus in its total. And that requires Tainus, which, as we said, was Knois Kol HaYudim, a massive gathering. Not a small gathering, a massive unity of Am Yisrael, like Esther did. And tzedakah, which in this case is to not only care for the needs on a wider scale, but wherever there's lacking and deficiency to address it, meaning lack of education, lack of understanding, lack of just lost souls. It's a tzedakah to bring them back. And finally, the or of Torah, we said the Torah, which will be the Torah of Kiruv Levavos, and to ignite the spark of a spiritual spark in the lives of people. That's Pnimius HaTorah. And it occurred to me that the definition of Pnimius HaTorah is Torah that you take to heart. Right? It goes bifnim. Right? As it says, Dvar min halev, nichnasim el halev. Words from the heart will go in. So there's a Torah which is intellectual and instructive, and you grow in your knowledge and brilliance and your understanding of the mitzvos and your ability to do them properly. That's the first step. And the second step really is the Torah which ignites the neshama, which is really, if you think about it, it's the destination of going from the head to the heart. So
when you're studying music, first you got to learn how to form it physically, and then you got to learn how to use that as a tool to bring out what's inside.
And that leads us, thank you very much, to our topic for today. Not necessarily music only, but what was Moshe's agenda in Sefer Devarim? This was Moshe's agenda. To take the intellectualization of mitzvos and ground them into passionate service. Where do you see that in the Book of Devarim? Name me some mitzvos that really go to the heart of the matter. Well, take this week's Parshat, for example. How about Bikurim? Bikurim, a guy's running a business, he's got a field, he's got to feed his family. He goes and he goes down and sees the first fruit, right? How exciting. You know, my tree, it actually works. You know, we had one tree that worked and one tree that didn't work so much. We have a wonderful lemon tree. It's so big and so heavy, I'm hoping it just can stand up to its own greatness. But it produces, and there's nothing like seeing your first fruits of your labor, right? Yegias kapecha kitocha. No. Where does it go? It goes to Hashem. Korech alei gemi. You put a marker on it, you put a rubber band on it, and you say, Harei zu bikurim. My first fruits come from Hashem. I take my passion about my work and I say, for Hashem. For Hashem. Trumas and Maasros, for Hashem. This is my livelihood. This is my life. Everything. Doesn't matter. Your animals in your field, and it doesn't matter. We take our feelings and we make sure that first, let's get it straight. Let's get the hashkafa straight here. Where does it come from? Don't let your feelings run amok, because it's not going to take you in a good direction, and you will not be successful in building a Torah society in Eretz Yisrael. He says, if you want to live on the ground, then you need to make sure that your head is in the right place. Now, Al Pi Kabbalah, Bnei Yissaschar speaks about this, a lot of Sfarim Kedoshim. Hashem's name has 4 letters. The first, the Maral speaks about this too, in this week's Parsha, and we'll get to that. First, what's the gematria of the first 2 letters of Yud Kei Vav Kei? 15, right? What's the gematria of the second letters? Yud Aleph, 11. Okay. What does 11 correspond to? So in Parshas Ki Savo, we found, according to Rashi, 11 curses. Why not 12? So let's take it one step at a time. We said that the name of Hashem, that's 15, and the name of the second part of the name of Hashem, that's 11. Think of it as descending lower and lower into the world, because there are how many worlds? 4 worlds. Correct? There are 4 worlds. What are the 4 worlds that we speak about in Kabbalah, Kabbalistic terms? In the Ariya Kodesh well, there's the world of Atzilus, which is all the way up there, right? And then what comes next? Yetzirah, in which things are starting to take shape, but they're still basically theoretical. And then what do you have? Bria, things are actually coming to be manifest. And Asiyah, doing it, finishing the job. Esav was called Esav because he was done. He was Asui. And we say to do your nails, you did them. That's the fun. It's like Hashem's name is going from the highest heavens and lowering itself, Nebuch, into this crass earth. Nebuch. But that's what Hashem wants. And we don't understand why. There's a nice clean place up there. It's not very messy. And get down here, especially go into the dirt. Go into the dirt. It's messy. No. Hashem wants a dir b'tachtonim. That's what he wants. 11 represents the most, it's just the point to which human beings can actually grasp. If they go beyond 10 towards 11, they've overstepped their domain. Which is why Moshe is really trying to give the Bnei Israel a lesson for, how do I do this? How do I, on the one hand, be this crass, emotional, passionate person, living the land, fighting enemies, raising a family, and you also want me to be this learned, intellectual, prayer-filled being. Who can do such a balancing act? The answer is every Jew. And hopefully they'll teach the rest of mankind also. Every Jew. Avram Avinu started it, and Yaacov, and Yitzhak and Yaakov. That's our job, to take the Yud Kei, which represents the realm of Hashem, down to the realm, what we call the realm of 11. Now, I want to present this to you in a simple way, in the interest of time as well. There are also 2 names of Hashem, and we use them in our Rosh Hashanah davening. One is what we just said, Yud Kei Vav Kei. And what is the other famous name of Hashem? Elokim. Okay. Now, when Hashem created the world, which name did he use? Elokim. Until the 6th day of creation, and then what happened? It changes. Right? All of a sudden, man is introduced to the world. He didn't have one mention of Yud Kei Vav Kei until then. Man comes onto the scene. First of all, it says, "Vayomer Elokim Naaseh Adam." We're going to make man. And it says, Vayivra Elokim es Adam b'tzalmo, Tzelem Elokim. There's no mention of Hashem, of Yud Kei Vav Kei here, right? Right? That's it. And that's the first part. However, in the second creation story, which is in Perek Beis, it goes differently. Eila toldos shamayim va'aretz behi baram biyom asos Hashem Elokim eretz v'shamayim. The world's creation existed on two planes. The world of Elokim, but when it engages man, when it gets down to our level, the name changes to Hashem Elokim. Hashem is the name of mercy, compassion, and love, tempered with the strength and adherence to principles and values, which is Elokim, the rule of law. Elokim is the rule of law. It is an intellectual, clear thing. I had a couple that called me up about a question, and I said to them, you got to ask a lawyer. This is not a question for a rabbi. It's a legal issue. The law will dictate what the halacha is, because it's whatever the contract says. Elokim, first set down the rules, but then there's the law, there's the letter of the law, and then there's beyond the letter of the law and the spirit of the law and the relationship. Laws help us, right? We say good fences make for good neighbors. Laws, if not, what would human beings do if they didn't have law? Ish es re'eu chayim balao. They'll swallow each other alive. You need boundaries, healthy boundaries. But at the same time, if you only have that, it's a distant relationship. It's what we say in the davening of Yom Noraim, im ka'avadim, right? Rachmeinu karachem, right? But if you want to be, we don't want to be avadim, we want to be banim. In banim, there's a completely different level. And when Hashem created man, ideally, what we are supposed to be is a balance of Hashem Elokim. Okay, this is such an important point. I would illuminate your study of Chumash, because I'm going to show you something remarkable. Again, the creation story has no Yud Kei Vav Kei. The second story of creation, which is man's special creation with Chava, etc., is only Hashem Elokim, right? What name did Klal Yisrael encounter when they left Mitzrayim, according to beginning of Parshat Va'era? What did Hashem say to Moshe Rabbeinu? Ushmi Yud Kei Vav Kei Lo Nodati Lahem. The Avos were able to operate on the level of Hashem Elokim. You guys, only on the level of what? Yud Kei Vav Kei. The Avos were Kel Shakai, the rule of law. They earned it. Avraham Avinu stood the tests. He passed the examinations. Okay? He didn't get a mercy grade. No. I don't know how many of you are teachers or were teachers in a different Gilgal. You know, the kids that you really should give them an F, but you give them like a 75, they shouldn't feel bad. C minus. You know, the C minus guys. And then there are A students, and there are A plus students. They earned it. By Mitzrayim, we were on the 49th level of Tuma. Hashem only took us out for one reason, because of his great compassion and commitment to Klal Yisrael without any possibility of breaking that relationship. And that occurs here in Parshat Savo. Moshe tells Klal Yisrael in Parshat Savo, this past week's Parsha, and in Tzavim as well, that he wants them to go in an Olah and a Shavua. He wants them to take an oath for good behavior. What do you mean good behavior? Who cares about good behavior? Just, you know why? I'm stuck with you guys. So please, don't make my life miserable. The Rabbanu Shalom says, please promise me that you're going to behave. That's really what Hashem wants. Because on the level of Yud Kei Vav Kei, there's no way he can get rid of us. That is the story of the world. If you want to understand everything, you know, what Lahavdil Elef Avdolos, Kissinger, a lost Jew, still considered one of the most powerful people in the world. 90 years old, a little stooped over guy from Washington Heights with an accident, and they all come running to him. Every king and every minister and everyone could come to hear a few words from this broken down Jew. And what did he say? The world runs with realpolitik. What really runs the world? What people want. Forget the values. What does Kissinger say? There's no Elohim in the world. I mean, there's no Elohim, there's no rules. It's just wherever people's selfish agendas take them. Not exactly true. Not exactly true. Because the world wants to say that the connection between Am Yisrael and Eretz Yisrael is not a factor of realpolitik, nor should it be. Right? Who should get Eretz Yisrael? Whoever can. Whoever can. Whoever wants it the most. That's his view. But we say, no, there's an unbroken relationship here that can never change. It's not up for grabs. It's not ish esrieu chayim bala'u. That's what Kissinger said. The people will eat each other alive. Who will get eaten? The one who has the smaller mouth gets eaten by the one with the bigger mouth. And that's called realpolitik. Kol da'olim gvar. Whoever's stronger is going to impose his will on other people. And that's the way of the world. Yeah, but it's not the whole story, because you cannot forever impose your will upon the Jewish people, because the Jewish people have a never-ending relationship with Hashem. So, look at this mitzvah now. I wish you all had a chumash, but I'll read it to you. In Parshat Savo, the Jewish people are told by Moshe, genug with the what we did in Mitzrayim, that's over. Hashem nursed you like a baby for 40 years. Now, I expect of you what I originally planned. My relationship with you is not going to be pure rachamim, except if you mess up. But ideally, it's going to be the blend, meaning Hashem Elokim. So here it says, V'haya kisavo la'aretz, when you come into the land, Asher Hashem Elokecha noten lach. 2 names. And you'll have a nachla. Lakachta mireshis kol pri. Take the beginning of every fruit. Asher Hashem Elokecha noten lacha. Again, double name. V'samt v'hal makom makom asher yivchar Hashem Elokecha. Go to the place that Hashem chooses. Double name. Ubata l'kohen, and you come to the Kohen, and you say to him, listen to this. Amarti elav. You have to say to the Kohen, Higadeti ayom. I pronounce. Lashem. What should it say? Elokim? No. Elokecha. You're speaking to the Kohen. Your God, not my God. Why not? Because you didn't graduate to that level yet. The Kohen gets it. The Kohen's hopefully living on the level of Hashem Elokim. But the average Jew who's working in the field, he needs chizuk to reach the level of Hashem Elokim. Hence, the mitzvah of Bikurim. You understand what Moshe Rabbeinu is doing in the book of Devarim is setting up strategic teachings, musar and mitzvos that he heard from Hashem to keep Klal Yisrael up, maintaining the relationship that's expected of them of Eretz Yisrael. You're in the land of Hashem, you're in the king's palace, you are expected to step it up. I'm not going to have Golus, that's where the name of Hashem is relevant. But in Israel, Hashem Elokecha, we expect you to earn your place here in Eretz Yisrael. It's not a given. And if you need to step back into Golus to have a retraining period, retrenchment, then I'm going to send you back there until you're ready to come back. Or you're going to come back eventually at whatever, which is what we're in the process of. So he says, Kibati ala aretz asher nishpa hu yud ke vav ke la'avoseinu. Why? Because it was a favor. Latet lanu. We don't deserve it. But Yud Ke Vav Ke said, give it to them anyway. But that's not the end. That's not the end of it. I don't want to give a mercy grade. I want to give you an A. I want to give you a reward in Olam Haba. I don't want to just gift you. So the Kohen takes the Bikurim. Vehinichu lifnei mizbeach Hashem Elokecha. Again, Moshe speaking to Jewish people say it's going to be Hashem your God. Va'anita va'amarta, and you're going to say, Lifnei Hashem Elokecha. And you tell them the whole story of Avram, that Lavan came and Mitzrayim, we had all these problems, and still Hashem brought us here. We owe him something. We owe Hashem something, right? We need to do Hakaras Ha-Tov, which is the basis of the whole mitzvah. Hakaras Ha-Tov. When you have Hakaras Ha-Tov to somebody, you don't violate their will. You don't treat them poorly. You follow them. You honor them. He says, I have Hakaras Ha-Tov, Hashem. Therefore, I'm going to keep the mitzvahs. My relationship to you is going to be not of a spoiled child, but of a respectful adult who thanks you from the depths of my heart. Now look what it says. Va'az tahine heveti es reishis pri ha'adama asher natata li, who? Yud Kei Vav Kei. I'm still not on the level of Elkecha. V'hinachta lifnei, and then Moshe says to them, and you'll put it in front of Hashem Elokecha, again, because that's where we're going. V'ishtachavisa lifnei Hashem Elokecha. Right? V'samachta b'chol hatov asher natan lecha Hashem Elokecha, etc. The guy who brings the Bikurim, and this is the centerpiece of the Seder, never once says Hashem Elokai, because you're just not holding by it. We need strengthening. We need to step up to that level. And that's what this is all about. Now, similarly, okay, so that is the theme. Now, let's go back to the number 11. One of the things that Moshe Rabbeinu did was stand up everybody where? On Har Grizim and Har Eval. Who was where, by the way? Who was on which mountain? Who was on which mountain? Okay, so it goes like this. All right? Let's analyze this a little bit. What's the rationale of this mitzvah? What's the function of this mitzvah? Elu yamdu levarech es ha'am al Har Grizim. These are the ones that are on the mountain of blessing. Rashi points out they're not going to give a blessing because who actually did the blessing? Who said Baruch, the Leviim, who were in between the two mountains with the Aron Kodesh. So they're standing on the blessing. Shimon, Levi, Yehuda, Yisachar, Yosef, and Binyamin. Please make a note of those. Think about that group. Think about that group. Levi, Shimon, Levi, Yehuda, Yisachar, Yosef, and Binyamin. Who's glaringly missing here? Reuven. Okay. Who's also missing? Zevulun. Right? Okay. Let's go on to the other mountain. The mountain of Ve'elu Yamdu ala Klola. Gee, I'm going to feel really great if I am that tribe. Says, you guys, you go to the cursed mountain, and you guys, didn't we learn already from Yaakov Avinu not to show favoritism? You think Moshe Rabbeinu is trying to make these Shvatim feel bad? And they say, Yamdu ala Klola, Bahar Evel, Reuven, Gad, Asher, Zvulun, Dan, Naphtali. Now, it's interesting because he does say Levi's on the mountain, but really Levi's not really on the mountain. Where is Levi? In between the mountains, right? Actually not